welcome back to the channel and welcome to rather wet and windy Argyll and Bute. We're currently about a third of the way up Ben Cookin, which is about just over an 1100 metre peak. It hasn't been that cold, but there is a little bit of snow on it. We're currently just on top of the dam here, and that's the reservoir. Anyway, we're not here to walk, we're here to fish, so we're up for a few days. The forecast's absolutely horrific. So I've just had a little look on Navionics, Google Earth, just to see where I can basically try and wet a line in a bit of depth and somewhere that's going to have the wind on me back, or ideally out of the wind if we can get in next to some trees. I don't really know the west coast other than for bass fishing and boat fishing, so I'm kind of just flying by the seat of my pants really. But got some mackerel, bluey, squid, and we're just going to fish with a couple of rods, T800s, aerotechniums, and see if we can just not blank basically. I'll be happy with anything. Ideally I'd like to catch a spur or a thorny, but I'm not hoping for any great shakes, seeing as I'm just kind of going on the fly, as it were, really. So anyway, I'll apologise in advance because the forecast is horrific. I doubt I'll be able to get much scenery at all, but I'll do what I can. So hopefully it provides 10-15 minutes of light entertainment, and yeah, enjoy the video. Right, reels today are the pair of aerotechniums. Haven't seen any action in quite a while, and that's because I've been out cod fishing. We've got an aerotechnium XS MJS XSC here in the 14,000, and as you can see, I've modded the handle to the old XSB handle because it's basically much better in my personal opinion. We've also got the slightly newer MGS XSD, which is a slightly bigger reel. I think it's got a slightly upgraded gearing system. Again, I've put the XSB handle on it because I'm just not keen on the flat handle. The main difference with these reels, as you can see, the body is slightly longer. The spool, if I can get that moving around there, is a little bit longer as well. I don't know, probably not the best, that might be better. And it's basically, you get more uninterrupted turns up the reel. These have both got about, I think that's got about, for every oscillation of that rotor up and down once is 100 turns. On this I think it's about 107 or something, so purpose being you're meant to get a bit better cast. That's got 8 strands, 35 pound ASO evergreen braid, an 80 pound 4 strand leader. That's identical in the pair of them, and they are going to be teamed up to the very, very capable and a lot more powerful than what I think people realise T800s. And the rigs I'm going to use are, I think I'm going to go one dongle. This is 100 pound, it's about 1 mil thick line, bead, yes, the brilliant Aero Trident Aero pulley, another bead, power swivel, 100 pound mono hook length, that's tied with a perfection loop, 6/0 diamond circle, and that's the dongle there. So what's that, about 4 inches? And the way I tie this, I just get 3 lengths of 120 pound braid. It's all one length basically, but you just double it over, treble it over, tie your knots, and then you can just keep tying and cutting to your desired length. But what I'm using on the bottom, instead of the usual imp or splashdown, I'm using a canny link. And if Ridian's watching, he'll be like, Dave, finally you've decided to have a look into these. been aware of them for years, I've just never used them. Very cheap, very effective alternative to a rotten bottom, because obviously you've got your bait clip here and your rotter there, so all you need to do is tie on your weak link, which in this case is going to be about £18, and your sinker, which again is 5 or 6 ounce. The knots that I use when I'm using thicker £100 mono, that is just a little clinch knot. If you have a look on YouTube, you'll be able to see these, and I find that to be a much better knot for thicker mono. That's the knot I always use for 150, £200 mono when I'm taupe fishing as well. So again, the other good thing about £100 mono with these, you just get more tension in these aero pulley links. So if you do get a fish, the weight of the sinker, and you can tie a knot, it'll not fall down as quick if the fish starts swimming back. So, and I'm also using £100 because if we do have a chance of a spur, I couldn't get hold of any wire, but hopefully the fish will just be lipped hook and it'll be biting the hook. But if it does come into contact with the teeth, it might just give us a bit more of a fighting chance, and the skin's quite rough on them as well, so it's a bit of abrasion resistance. So I'm going to get these baited up with, got a bit of squid, some mackerel and some small bluey. So I'm hoping between that little lot we might just have enough to winkle a fish out. The weather is absolutely horrific. 45 mile an hour wind, pissing down from the heavens, excuse my French, but yeah, it is what it is. So I'm here on the beach shelter, gonna just cast around and see if I can catch something. Right, so I'm just going to bait this dongle. I've got a bit of mackerel. What I like to do with mine, I like to put the hook, the end anyway, through the end. I've just cut that down the back. I'll nick that in. Hold that into position there. I'm using, because these baits are still quite frozen, I am using thicker elastic. They are defrosting a bit, but I'm just going to get that bound onto there like that. I'm not going to be casting far, so the shape of the bait doesn't really matter, to be honest. And all I've done with that bit of mackerel, I've just sort of cut that roughly to the same length as the dongle. I like to put a little bit of elastic around where the hook is as well. It's just starting to defrost now. There's plenty of scent coming out of that. I'm not going crazy on the elastic, but on this thicker stuff, what I do like to do, instead of just pulling it off, just wrap it around my finger, pull it back through, and that's just a half hitch because it's quite heavy gauge that. Take that off, pull that out, hang that on there, and that is ready to go. So let's get that one out and then get the other one baited up. Right, so as I say, I'm not belting these baits at all. The tide does seem to be moving from left to right, so I think I'm just going to use this little clearing behind us just to chuck it up tide. Let's see if I can pull anything out. It's a little bit tricky because I know I've got a few trees around here, but right, I'm just going to swing that back in. Right, there's a fair bit of tide going through, but that's the beauty of using these T800s. You can use them with braid and they just bend over nicely in the tide. Forgot how nice it is to fish with really light gear, this reel and this rod. Anyway, enough waffle, let's get another bait out.
apologise in advance because it's not going to be, because of the howling wind and rain. As I say, we've just sat, I'm in on the west coast in Scotland, hence the spurs and thornies, but I'm sat right in the belt of the worst wind and rain that the UK has experienced, and so it's just impossible to have camera gear and stuff out getting wet, but hopefully you can just bear with us. We've got about, what time are we on now? 3 o'clock. We've got another couple hours until high tide. High tide's at about 10 to 5. I have just had another look at Navionics and I got that wrong actually. It's there's an area in front of us that's between about 40 and 50 foot and it's well within casting range, so that'll probably explain a little bit of the kind of back eddy that I've been getting on my gear. My first rod moved from left to right and now it's kind of back over to the right, and now they're both sort of pulling to the left. I have just had a little knock on this left hand rod here, so I'll probably investigate that in a minute because they've both been out about 20 minutes, half an hour. As I said before, I'm really enjoying using the T800s with these Aerotechniums. It just feels so different from using a Comp SS and a Saragossa, and I think for me that the T800 is definitely a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's deceptively powerful. It's very, very capable. Right, so I've just wound both casts in. Those first baits, nothing on either of them, but they were both stripped and I had seen a couple of bites, so I've put another big mackerel bait on the right hand rod straight out, but on this one I'm going to whip up a bit of mackerel and a bit of squid. So I've just taken the squid and I've cut it in half. I think I've just been getting a bite on that rod actually, but all I'm saying is I'm basically just going to turn that squid inside out so all the ink and guts basically are on the outside. I mean, you can see that on my fingers. I'm just going to wrap that around because squid obviously is a lot tougher than mackerel, especially once the mackerel's defrosted, so that inside of it will just give it a bit of protection, so that should hopefully give us a chance of a spur on the mackerel and a thorny on this, so we'll see. I mean, you can see that ink, it's just flying all over the shop. Oh god, hadn't realised quite how bad that is, but I'm certainly not complaining. So we'll get this one baited up, see if we can get a nice thorny. As I say, I do like to go around the top of my dongles. It's getting quite dark now. Can't see me watch, but I'm assuming it's about 3:30. We've probably got another half hour of darkness. Yeah, about 3:30. And I'm hoping that darkness might just be the key. It's already a pretty dark day anyway because of the because of the weather, but you never know, proper darkness might just help. As I say, I'm fishing about 50 foot, so the light down there is obviously going to be a lot lower anyway, but any fish swimming around from any shallower ground might just cruise in. So anyway, we'll get this one out. Right, I've had about 3 casts, and every cast the bait is coming back absolutely stripped, so which suggests to me that there's probably a lot of small stuff out there, because I definitely haven't had any kind of ray or ray or spur type bites. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change things up on one of the rods anyway. I'm going to put a little pennel on made up of 2 smaller 1/0 Cox and Roll chinnoos, just in an attempt to try and catch something. So that's the plan for the next one. Well, this has turned into a pretty frustrating night because it's now pitch black and I've just lost 2 fish. One right at my feet, came off and just swam back down to depths. There's a reasonable amount of weight on it, so I don't know. It wasn't fighting like a spur, so I'm assuming it was a thorny. And then the other rod straight after, I've just wound in after about 10 turns, come off. So I'm on my last 2 casts. They're going to get another 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'm going to go eat some food and drink some alcohol. Right, well, you know what the culprit is, and it is a very dark coloured, lively little doggy. And that's probably what's been stripping me bait all night. We'll get this one back, give that rod another couple of minutes, and then we'll head off, I think. Blanket's off though, at least it's not a rockland. Well, that's all we've got time for, folks. It's been an enjoyable session. It's been nice to get out in the Scottish. Frustrating losing those 2 fish, but little change of tactic, changing to smaller hooks, saved the blank at least, so managed to get a dogfish. Not really anything particularly exciting, but better than catching out there. So, till the next time, we'll see you somewhere else, somewhere different, very soon, no doubt. So, tight lines, keep fishing. We'll see you soon.